One of the worst people in Marvel Comics, period, is Nathaniel Essex, Mister Sinister. I'm going to tell you exactly who he is. He's from the 1800s, dude.
Right.
He's from back in the day. He was a brilliant biologist in Victorian London. Back in the old Charles Darwin area, that was kind of his, I don't want to say rival, but he was his contemporary, if you will. Darwin, he argued evolution, natural selection, evolution's a slow process. Yeah. Well, Essex argued the opposite. He believed that humanity was on the verge of a violent, rapid genetic leap, and he called it the Essex factors. A little self-centered and narcissistic.
A little bit.
Yes. He wanted to force these leaps to protect the human race. Darwin's like, dude, it's a slow process. It's natural selection. Strong will survive, whatever. He's like, no, fuck that. Let's speed this up. Let's evolve humans. The Royal Society, they rejected him. They said, you're a fucking lunatic, dude. You're dangerous, as a matter of fact. What did he do? He went underground. He hired these violent thugs, the original Marauders, to roam the slums of London. They were paid to dig up fresh graves, also paid to kidnap outcasts and mutants from the streets. He had this basement laboratory, and he performed a lot of fucked up surgeries. I mean, dude, things like splicing human and animal biology together. One of the most disturbing things he did was he stitched pieces of all these different corpses and mutant body parts into this massive brainless biological weapon, fucking just body parts and all kinds of shit. Now, his wife, Rebecca, discovered the shit he was doing. That caused her to go into premature labor because she found out her husband was basically doing some Frankenstein shit in the basement. Could you imagine? You went home and you know, your wife was chopping people up in the basement?
Yeah.
It probably would be a fucking strange day at your house, right?
Or Sunday.
Or just an average day, yeah. What'd you pick up today, you know?
Right.
So it traumatized her. It forced her into a premature labor, and she lost a child. And as she laid there fucking dying, she refused her husband's comfort, and she told him that your bitch-ass soul is sinister, Adrian. So she coined the name. She called him Sinister. Now, around this time, there's a motherfucker named Apocalypse who was in one of his deep sleeps that decided to wake up. We know how this works, right?
Yeah.
You can't really beat Apocalypse. You can just outlast him, tire him out, then he goes to sleep for like 100 years. Well, in 1859, his bitch ass wakes up and he always senses something when he wakes up. He sensed that Nathaniel Essex is this individual that has no fucking morals. Perfect person for Apocalypse to work with, right? He offered him a deal. He said, if you serve me, I will give you the technology to live forever. Of course, Nathaniel accepted this. Apocalypse then used his alien celestial technology to strip Essex of all his humanity, turn his skin pale white, but he did grant him immortality. And honoring his wife's dying words, Essex renamed himself Mr. Bitch-Ass Sinister, or just Mr. Sinister. One of the weirdest things about Sinister is his obsessions with Scott Summers and Jean Grey. During his transformation in 1859, a time-traveling Cyclops and Jean Grey arrived in the past to stop Apocalypse. Sinister witnessed their raw power. He realized instantly that if you combine the genetic codes of those two motherfuckers, they would create a mutant powerful enough to eventually kill Apocalypse and set Sinister free. This sparked this century-long obsession with Jean and Scott. Let's talk about Sinister's powers real quick. He's not a mutant, not a real mutant. He wasn't born with the X gene. He's basically a hacker. He stacked up these powers. He's modified his own genes. The Apocalypse upgrade provided a few things. One, total cellular control. So Sinister can dictate his cellular makeup with his own mind. He can stretch his limbs. He can alter his physical appearance to mimic anyone. He can shift his organs around internally to avoid fatal blows. So a lot of times you see him getting fucking blasted, a chunk of his side's missing, but he's still alive. It just regenerates. He has absolute regeneration. He is practically impossible to kill through physical trauma. As long as there's a single drop of his blood, a cluster of cells, some fucking skeet, a snot, something, he can rapidly regenerate his entire physical form. His cells don't age. They don't produce fatigue poisons. He's immune to every disease on Earth, toxins, radiation, everything, dude. Then he's got this energy projection. His body can generate and store massive amounts of biokinetic energy, and he can fire these concussive blasts from his hands or the ruby diamond in the middle of his forehead. Almost like some Bishop type stuff. Absorb your power, shoot it right back at you. That was what Apocalypse gave him. What this motherfucker did, dude, he upgraded himself through genetic splicing for the next century. He would hunt down powerful mutants, extract their X genes, and splice their abilities into his own DNA. He made himself one of the most powerful telepaths on the planet. He can read minds, he can project mental bolts, alter memories, he can paralyze enemies by shutting down all their motor functions telepathically. And his mind is so heavily shielded that Professor X struggles to penetrate it with or without the blanket. Either way, he's not getting in that motherfucker. He spliced in telekinetic abilities that allow him to levitate tons of debris, allow him to fly, project force fields. He uses his telekinesis on a microscopic level to manipulate DNA strands in his laboratory. So he gave himself this upgrade. Now he's fucking doing surgery and shit to DNA strands with telekinesis. He engineered thousands of clones hidden in secret laboratories across the world. Through a telepathic tether, if his body is destroyed, his mind instantly downloads right into a fresh clone. So you can't kill this motherfucker.
Right.
Let's talk about what happened in the mid-20th century. The orphanage. If you don't think he's fucked up already, listen to this. He secretly bought Omaha, Nebraska orphanage where Scott Summers and his brother Alex were sent. So if you don't know their origin, they're in a plane crash. Dad's flying a private plane, and they only had one parachute, so they strapped the two kids together, threw them out the fucking plane. These two survived. They thought their parents were dead. There's a whole bunch of other traumatic shit that happens. But basically, these two were orphans. And Sinister decided to buy the orphanage that they were living at. Operating as Dr. Milbury, Sinister separated the brothers so he could isolate Scott. Sinister actually designed Scott's original ruby quartz glasses, but not really to help him. He did it as a mental block in a way, so Scott could never fully control his optic blast. He relied on these lenses, right? Sinister also discovered the Morlocks living in the New York sewers and realized that they were genetically engineered using his own stolen theories. He hired a young mutant thief named Gambit in exchange for brain surgery to help Gambit control his powers. Because if you don't know, Gambit was an Omega level mutant. He couldn't control his powers. He goes to Sinister. Sinister lobotomizes him and fucking puts all these dampers on him. And in exchange for that, he had Gambit assemble a hit squad, the new Marauders, and led them into the sewers and slaughtered the fucking Morlocks. So they murdered hundreds of Morlocks, and the X-Men intervened. There was even more casualties. Colossus was paralyzed. Nightcrawler was put into a coma. And Angel, we talked about last week, this is where Angel's wings were crushed. All that was done because Sinister was mad that somebody else used his tech to do the same shit he was doing to other mutants. He's like, if anyone's going to traumatize them, it's going to be me, motherfucker.
Right.
Then when Jean Grey died as the Dark Phoenix, Sinister unleashed another one of his century-long fucking plans. He cloned Jean, named her Madeline Pryor, implanted false memories, and orchestrated a plot for her to cross paths with Cyclops so he could fall in love with her. They had a baby. The baby grew up to be this time-traveling soldier known as Cable. So Sinister fucking orchestrated all of that. As powerful as he is, a lot of the darkest things he's done has been in the shadows. But during the Inferno event, Adrian, he steps out of the shadows and he decides, I'm going to mentally torture Cyclops right to his motherfucking face. He reveals to him that your entire life was a lie. I've been in control the whole time. Because he didn't know, Cyclops didn't know that the school he was at, the orphanage, was Sinister. He didn't know that fucking Milbury was Sinister. So he didn't know about Madeline Pryor, all that shit. So Cyclops fucking snaps. He unleashes this insane optic blast that completely incinerates Sinister down to the bone. But Adrian, what happens to Sinister when he's fucking incinerated down to the bone? He just pops into a backup clone. Whatever, dude. I'm sure it didn't feel good, but hey, fucking 2 seconds later, I'm in a new clone,
Right.
fresh body, fuck you. Sinister forms a alliance with this individual named Strife. Strife is a future clone of Cable. One of the things that they agreed to was Sinister was going to give Cyclops and Jean to Strife, and in return, Strife gave Sinister a sealed canister that supposedly had the genetic matrix of the Summers family from 2,000 years in the future. Although that's not what it was. It was a trap. Strife, he got him, dude. He tricked him. And the canister was actually the legacy virus, that highly contagious, airborne fucking disease designed to target the X gene. And it kills mutants. It's like an airborne fucking cancer in a way.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's, as you have said, it's sinister, Adrian. And in the Krakoan era, this mutant nation that's established. They actually needed Sinister's genetic database of every mutant on Earth to power their resurrection protocols. They needed Sinister, so they invited him and they gave him a seat on the council. Probably a dumb idea, right? And then he also corrupts the resurrection protocols by placing a microscopic piece of his own DNA into the system. So whenever an X-Man died and was brought back to life, they were brought back with Sinister's personality overriding their own. So they brought him into the house because he had the info and he fucked everything up.
Right.
That's why you don't bring people into your house, right?
That's it.
In a nutshell, Mister Sinister is a motherfucking problem, has always been one, and will always be one.